everyone, it's Sam here, and today I have a techniques video. It's been quite a while since I've done one of these, but the ones that I've done in the past have seemed to have been quite popular, so I thought I would do it again. So it's going to be embossing folders, and this time it's cut and emboss folders. Now, believe it or not, I only actually had 2 of these before I received all of these ones here. So I've had some fun. I've created 8 cards. There are new and old techniques here, so hopefully something for everybody. There is always someone new joining the world of card making and paper craft, so it's always good to refresh these kind of videos and refresh our minds as well, because sometimes we are reminded of things that maybe we'd forgotten. So yeah, some fun techniques here, some happy accidents as well. So let's get into the video. So for the first one, I'm going to use the Sunflower Fields, which is this one here. You can see all the sentiments there. I'm going to do probably all the sentiments at the end and put them onto the card blanks at the very end, which is what I tend to do when I do these videos where I'm making a lot of cards. So just check your instructions for the sandwich order for your machine, because everybody's is going to be different. So I've got the Sizzix Big Shot, and I've used my base plate and then just my 2 clear plates there, and I found that that's just right. Let's see how this one looks. Oh, that's really nice. So it cuts out this section here. So like I said, I'll be using that for my sentiments, and you can see, get it to capture like that gorgeous detail there. So what I want to use for this one is some pixie powder to bring out those sunflowers. This is the VersaMark one. I'm just going to brush it over the image. Don't want to push down, you're just kind of brushing it over all the raised areas. You can rub over with your anti-static buddy first as well if you want, but I think this would be okay. I'm not looking for perfect, so don't worry if you get some that has gone, you know, onto the flatter parts. And I'm just going to use a little stencil brush, just decant some of this onto my mat. And just pick that up and just tap off any excess, and then just start brushing it on. Okay, once you're happy that you've covered everything, just take some paper towel and you just want to buff over it now. And now we're left with this gorgeous, almost looks like it's antique, like a bit more vintage and distressed. You can see the lovely finish that gives you. So it's just stuck to all those areas. I could probably buff it off even more in these kind of spots there. You can see you can brush it away, but because it's a dust, you know, it will leave like residue really, but I think that kind of adds to the look. But if you wanted to then go in a little bit deeper with the colour again, you can just go over it. Can you see how that's just brought out that shine? So just maybe just a little bit more in the centres. You could use gilding flakes as well. I might use that on another example. That gives a more intense, like shinier look. And then just maybe just lightly buff it. So it just makes the centres just that little bit more golden. I think that's gorgeous. So that's, I guess, technique number 1. So for the next technique, I'm going to use the Daisy Daisy. So this one you have the Hey You, and then you've got all your other sentiments there as well. They're stamps. This is the die. I think I'm going to just focus on like thank you, just because I always need those kind of cards. So for this one, I really want to use my new Distress Spritz colours here. So I just got these the other day, and what I think I'm going to do, because I just love this design, and my idea for this one is I want all of the daisies to be white, and then I just want to spritz, not all these colours, but just some of them, and create a nice background. So I'm going to use this is the Ranger white embossing powder. You don't need that particular one. And I've got my VersaMark here, and I think I'm just going to give this just a quick kind of wipe with my anti-static buddy, just because it's come from the factory. You know, there might be some like hidden sticky areas, or just something that would attract the powder to. You want to make sure you're doing this on the embossed side, not the debossed side. Okay, so you can feel all of the indents on that one. And then I'm just going to use my VersaMark again, and I'm just going to load up my brayer, and just going to go over all of the design. And again, you're not looking for perfection. So if there's the odd petal that's maybe, you know, doesn't transfer as well, you're not going to really notice it. Pretty good. If you hold it up to the light, you can, I don't know if it's picking it up on screen, but you can see if you've missed any areas. I've got a piece of 5 3/4 squared card, and I'm just going to go over that with my anti-static powder. And then I want to carefully place this down, close that. I'm going to run that one through. Okay, so it's cut out the middle part. And now what I'm hoping it's done is it's transferred the VersaMark into all of the petals here. So you're working on the opposite side. You can see the gorgeous design there, which is the right side, but we're going to work on this side. So now I'm going to pour over my white powder. You're not going to really see this, but once I start adding the spritz and the colour, then it will come through. So some of them are really full with the powder, some of them not so much. So I'm going to get this heat set, and then I think I'm going to repeat that process again. So you can see, hopefully when that catches the light, where it's covered. So I've got my VersaMarker pen here, and I'm just going to go over the areas that I've missed, and then I'm going to add my powder again. Okay, so I've got a lot more coverage there, so I think this is going to work. So let's try. I'm going to definitely use the picked raspberry, and I think let's go for the wilted violet and then twisted citron. Go for those 3 colours. Make sure you give them a good shake, because all the mica sits to the bottom, so you want to get that bulbarian just to break it all up. You can see when it's moved. Okay, so just going to do random design. And the idea is it resists against the white. First time using these. Oh, it looks like it's going to resist. Oh, that's looks a bit browny. Let's just trust the process. Probably using way too much. A little bit more purple there. Now, I'm just going to let it just sink in, but I can see it's already beading and resisting against the flowers, so I think it's going to work, but I'm just going to let that absorb some of it. I think I'm going to blot it all off, and then that should, you can see already the lovely shimmer that these give. Okay, so I've given that some time. I'm just going to lay the kitchen roll right over, because I don't want to contaminate like the colour. Probably didn't need to use as much as I did, but it's my first time using them. Oh, it's come out better. Now where it's still on the petals is where obviously the embossing powder didn't quite grab, but I still, oh wow, look at the shine. I don't know how well this is going to pick up. Can you see how shiny that is? It's amazing. So yeah, it's resist, but obviously it's not covered the petals fully, but I still think that gives a really lovely effect. Again, a little bit more distressed, I guess, but I love the shimmer. Look at this here. It's gorgeous. I hope it's picking up. I can't really tell, but in person they are really, really shiny. I think that's going to look lovely once the sentiment's on there. So technique number 2. So for the next one, I'm using the geometric frame. I've got this card here. I'm going to get this embossed, and then I'm going to use embossing powder to just highlight the detail parts, or the raised parts. Okay, so again, let's cut out that section. And you can see a gorgeous design. That's really, really nice actually. I'm going to use my anti-static all over. And then again, I'm going to use my brayer and VersaMark. And rather than rolling this over the embossing powder, we're going to roll it over the cardstock. You'll see it's going darker on those raised areas. Looted, very similar to this. Again, don't worry if you get little bits going into the areas that you don't want it. I think it kind of adds to that kind of distressed look. In fact, it's kind of catching more on the side, so I'm going to deliberately do that around all of them because I think that's going to really give it like an aged kind of patina. And then again, I'm just going to cover this with the gold embossing powder and get that heat set. Look how lovely that is. Really, really pleased with this one. Like I said, I like how it has gone a little bit, you know, more into the areas where I didn't really want it to go. So then I continue to deliberately do that around those sides, and I think it's turned out really nice. So technique number 3. So technique number 4 is using this one here. So it's the Modern Roses. Again, you get some nice sentiments there, and this is the one that's going to cut out. And for this one, I'm going to use sticky embossing powder and gilding flakes. Like I said, a lot of these techniques you've seen me share before, but I think it's nice to just kind of have that reminder sometimes. So I'm going to get that one cut. Again, I'm just going to go over it with my anti-static. And this one's the sticky embossing powder. This is actually from a charity shop. I got it for £1 and it's not even been used. So it's a Ranger one. You can see there it says sticky. So again, using my brayer, I'm just going to roll over all of that raised image. Okay, so that's all covered. Again, it has gone in some of those areas, but I'm not too worried about that. So again, you'll just heat set this the same way. So just dump it all on. It's a bit more coarse. You can hear this kind of powder. It's a bit more of a grain to it. I think that's going to look good, even with the gilding flakes on these other areas, because that's going to be completely plain, so it's not going to affect the sentiment in any way. So get that heat set. Remember, it's going to stay sticky, so just be careful once you've heat set it. Okay, so now we've got this, almost looks like it's glitter. We've got that sparkling surface, and that's all sticky. So I've got these pots here, which are from my Papercraft Society. Any gilding flakes will work. You could also add powders and stuff to this as well if you wanted to. So like the pixie powder, you could stick to this as well. Ideally, you don't want to be breathing when you use this because it is so light. But I'm just going to start to lay down. You get quite big sheets in here. This is going to look very opulent. Just cover the whole card. Okay, so the whole thing's covered, and now you just want to start rubbing over it with your finger. You could use a stencil brush, so the one I used before, and that will embed it and stick it onto all the areas that you want it to, and then brush it off the areas that are not sticky. There you go. How cool is that? And you can keep working at it. I think that looks really effective. I mean, you can't feel it, but you've just got so much texture with it. You've got the dimension from the embossed image. And if you feel any sticky bits, just go back over it again with the gilding flakes, or, you know, whatever it is you might be using. Sticky embossing powder is really good stuff. I don't use it enough, to be honest. So technique number 4. Okay, next one, I'm going to use the 6x6, and this is the circles. I'm using black card, and I'm just going to use a clear embossing powder on this one. So I'm going to get that one cut again. See how that cuts out, and it actually gives you this extra detail. So I'm going to keep that, because against the white, that's going to look really nice. So just pop out these extra pieces like so, and then I'll just have to work out how that goes back in, but you can see it gives you that like swirly effect. You can kind of see it on the front there. So again, I'm going to go over this with my anti-static powder. Again, you can use your brayer, but I think I'm just going to go over it with this pen and literally just colour each one in, because I can see exactly where the pen's going. So I'm going to use the Wow Clear Gloss embossing powder, so it's not going to add any colour, it's literally just going to leave a nice shine. You can see how that's stuck. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Just brush away any bits that you're not happy with. Get that set. Okay, so once that's cooled down, you can rub over that now, and you've just got these smooth, shiny circles. I think once it's got a nice bold sentiment in the middle, it's quite a cool card. So technique, what will be number 5? So for this one, I'm using the geometric hearts. I'm going to use white embossing powder for all of the embossed parts. So all this side, it's all smooth. It's just got little, you know, grooves, or the indents are in the thin lines there. So I've got a piece of 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Just going to place that one so it's nice and even. Get that cut. Before I cut it, I should have added the VersaMark. So I've just left it in the embossing folder there. I'm just going to rub over this. So I don't want to touch that end. I don't want to move it. Obviously you'll do this before that bit, but I forgot. Okay, again, hold it up to the light just so you can see if you've covered it all, but I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to drop it over that side, and I'm going to run that through again. Okay, so it definitely transferred because it was sticking. Yeah, that looks like that's worked pretty well. Again, I'm going to kind of leave it in there. I think I'm just going to go over it one more time for good measure. I reckon I could get a bit more on this side. You can always add an extra shim as well when you pass your embossing folder through, just to give it that extra bit of pressure. Yeah, that's transferred really nicely. Just get rid of whatever that was that got stuck in there. Okay, so now I want to cover it with the white embossing powder. So again, you're not really going to see this until I start adding the inks. And that's when you really get to see the lovely resist coming through. I can see, yeah, all the powder is inside, which is perfect. I'm just tidying up the heart there. Okay, so now I'm going to get that all set. Okay, so you should now be able to see the shine on that. I mean, that's lovely on its own, but I'm hoping, I think it has actually even transferred onto the raised parts. This might not work, but we're still going to have a nice finish anyway. I think I'm going to start with the pink and then go down into the peacock feathers and then the twisted citron, and this is picked raspberry. Okay, so I've added the colour, and it was resisting actually against quite a lot of it, so I'm quietly confident. So now you just get some clean paper towel and just rub over it, and the idea is that that white comes through, which you can see the difference there. Try not to contaminate your areas, so just, you know, once you start going up into another colour, just make sure you've got a fresh piece of towel. But the idea now is to just wipe as much of the colour off of those white areas, which it is. There we go, that's worked perfectly. For some reason I just thought it had gone onto the raised areas more, but can you see now? And you can see the shine there, the white embossing powder all here. Wonderful effect, like that one a lot. Okay, so for this one I'm using the lovely Lily, and I want to watercolour. Well, say watercolour, I'm going to use the distressed oxides to almost like paint the image. So I've cut myself a piece of 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So this is a hot press watercolour card. The good thing about hot press is it's smooth, so it's great for stamping if you like to use your watercolours. I could just use a 300 GSM, but because I am going to probably add a bit more water to this, it would just stop it all like peeling and stuff that the card can do if it gets wet. I got this off of Amazon. I've had it for quite a while. So cut, like I said, cut that down. So I'm just going to run that through. And again, just take that out. Keep that banner. It's quite a handy little banner. You could use it on another card. You could even lift it up on this one. And just hold that up so you can see that lovely detail. Really, really nice. So the idea is to use I'm going to just use that one because that's got the water in it. Otherwise you could just use a normal brush, put some water on your mat. So I'm going to use the picked raspberry for the flowers. I know they're lilies. I'm just going to do any colour I want. Pop some of the colour onto there and then just squeeze some water out there. I'm just going to pick this up and literally just start colouring in the images. Okay, so that's all done. Sadly, I got a little bit there, which was a shame. These are the colours that I used. So I used mowed lawn for the stems, mustard seed for the centres, and then wilted violet and milled lavender for that one, and picked raspberry and seedless preserves for the others. Now I want to bring back all of that detail, so I've just got my gilding waxes here. These are really old. I think I'm going to go for this one here, which is a bit more of an aged. Yeah, I think I always do this and then I end up going for that one because it's a bit brighter. What's this one here? So any gilding wax, oh, that's like a silver. That could be quite nice actually. I'm going to go for this one. It's slightly more like pewter, but I think that could be quite nice. So just take your excess off, a little bit on your finger, and you want to go really light. I just want to brush this over all of the raised parts. May well go into the other areas. I don't think that's going to show up so well. Maybe we will go to the brown, more that browny gold. Just needs to be a bit darker. Yeah, that's better. This has ended up turning into a happy accident because I wasn't too pleased with the way it was going, and then I just started to add it to all of that white space and it's covered up my mark. But you've now got this really, I think, really gorgeous effect. What I'm going to do is just to buff it all up, just wipe all that off. I'm just going to go over it with my paper towel and just start rubbing over it, and it will just really make it shine. You don't want to have any of that excess on there, otherwise the recipient's going to be covered. There we go. Look at the shine on that. Gorgeous. So accidental technique number, what's that, 7? So yeah, we've got one more left. Okay, so for the last technique, it's an oldie but a goodie, and we're going to add our ink to the embossing folder and then transfer it. So for this one I'm using the Art Deco frame. I'm going to use the same colour combo that I did for the heart one. So these ones here, because I've got that out. I've got so much mess, although I do like tidying this all up. Does anybody else? I get quite a lot of satisfaction putting everything away. So what I want to do is, we're not actually going to be adding any ink to the card. It's all going to be going onto the folder, and you want to do it onto the top plate there. So I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to use the brayer. Now I think I'm just going to give this a little wipe, but actually with it being a bit sticky might actually help. I will just take off, I've got a lot of grit from all the powders on there. Okay, so a cleanish brayer. I actually think things like this always work better when they've got other mediums on. As long as they're clean, you're almost like conditioning your tools. I'm going to roll this one onto my pad, and then I'm going to roll it across the top part of this folder. I'm working in all directions so you can cover it, and you can see exactly the coverage on this one, which is good. Okay, happy with that. I'll just give that a little wipe just so I don't contaminate my pad. I'm going into peacock feathers, overlap that colour, and then you'll get a nice blend. And then again I'm going to finish with the twisted citron. Now optional, you don't have to, you get a lovely effect just transferring it as it is, but I'm going to just add a very light spritz, not a lot of water, just almost a mist. I'm going to hold it quite high up. I'm just wanting it to react just a little bit, but not a lot. There we go. Turn it back around this way, lay my card down, and then lay your folder down and pass that through, and then reveal. This one's always good. I love this technique. Look at that. So you can see you've got all the white detail coming through, so it gives it a similar effect to this one, whereas this one's got the shine on it. It depends what look you want to go for. This one's more distressed looking, that one's a bit more neater, but I think it's given it a lovely effect. Just adding the water just bleeds it a little bit more. You could blend it in more if you want, but you don't want to use brushes on the embossing folder because it's going to go into all the detailed areas. So that is all of my, let's just clear this up so I can show you all of these techniques. And I'm now going to add these to card bases, and that's where I think it's really going to bring them together. But I always say, I think sometimes it's just fun to just sit down, get all of your tools, all your mediums, all your things that you own, get them all out and just have a play with them. Okay, so all of the cards have now been finished. So I've added the sentiments that come in each of the sets. So I'll just go through, no particular order. Let me know in the comments which one is your favourite. So this one here, I just added the sentiment, "You are the best," and a couple of little stars. They're all on white card blanks, just so they really pop for the video. And I've added that little extra kind of swirl frame. I love this one with that simple shine on those circles. And you could apply this to pattern paper, you know, emboss some pattern paper, and then add the VersaMarker to the raised parts, and then you can add some shine to them. I think it looked quite cool. This one here, which was the kind of happy accident, really like it. It's, again, you can't, you know, appreciate like the feel of it, but it feels really nice, really tactile, and the shine on this is lovely, especially here. Look at all that. So I'm definitely going to be using my spritzes more. This was just kind of playing around really. This one here, I just kept these two really simple actually, just added the sentiment and that's it. Put the embossed gold there, and then the pixie powder, which again, when it catches the light, looks really nice. This one here, again, the sentiments are all from the set. So the hello friend, and then the little hexagon holographic embellishments there. Just sort of finish that off really nicely. With this one here, I've added the thank you with some foam and then some gold card on top. And then I've also just gone over elements of the image with, this is the, I use this one here because I'm out of my accent glaze. This is Paper Glaze by Aleene's. And I've just pulled out just a few areas and just gone over that. And then I've added some little drops there as well using it. Again, a happy accident, but I think it's turned out really nicely. And then this one here, using the white embossing powder, which again, when it catches the light, this card is really shiny, but it's not really picking it up as well with my lights. Again, really tactile. And then the gilding flakes. Simple thanks a bunch on that one. I think that's turned out really nice, really grungy. Could definitely do more with all of these. I've just kept them really simple just to kind of show the folders and just show some, you know, fun techniques. Like I said, some of you will know all of these. There'll be others that are just maybe starting this craft, or maybe you've been doing this and you've just not seen these techniques before. Hopefully there's been something for everybody here. So these are all of the embossing folders that I've used today. They all come with a stamp and die in them, and you can find all of this product available on the Craft Stash website by clicking here. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and that way you won't miss out on any future videos. And I'll have, it'll either be the tips and techniques, or I'll have the embossing folder playlist, because I do have quite a few now. So I'll have that all together. So you might want to watch that next. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.